Hey folks. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay. Now give me some time. I'm not sure if anyone else is joining or if it is just us. Like give us like 2, 3 minutes, and then if no one else joined, then we can get started. Okay, so I think we can get started. So you guys are able to see my presentation clearly?
yeah, we can see.
Okay, okay. I know this is a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. in India. I'm based out of Canada, so it's 10:30 p.m. for me. Um, but thanks for joining the call in the first place. I know Sunday morning is not one of the best times for having a webinar, but here is where we are. So let's get started. Before I know I was expecting a more number of people. I see only a handful of people now. So with this session can be a lot more collaborative. We can talk with each other. We will have enough time, understand what we wanted to do with Snowflake a little more in detail. So before even I jump into the presentation that we are having today, Oh, but can I understand what you are expecting out of this presentation? Is there any particular motive, or you're just here to understand what Snowflake is? Uh, I know you might be multitasking, so it is not required for you to unmute and talk, but if you can put it in the chat window, also that is good enough.
Yep, I will take a. I will start. Okay, my name is Venkateshwar. I am working in Franklin Templeton Investment currently. So in my day-to-day work, I will use Snowflake application to write a SQL queries to extract the data from the databases.
Okay.
So I was more interested in how Snowflake is work, how the opportunities is there in the market, and how the other side of Snowflake is there in other features. So how it will be useful for my career, like the way for the focus I will see today.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. Thanks, Venkat. Anyone else who wants to talk?
Yeah, this side, Pawan. Snowflake is recently introduced in my company, and we are kind of switching to this. And thus, I would like to learn what exactly it is and how it will and take benefit of it when during my regular workings with my company.
Okay. Okay. Sounds fair. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Um, okay, so Each of us are here for a different reason. I'm working so attended this transition Snowflake to make my data. Okay, Madhavi, thank you. Okay, so there are different aspects of when people start learning Snowflake. One is like your company has already adopted it, and then you would like to understand Snowflake so that you are able to showcase your skills a little more when you're working with it. The second is like you're planning to switch from one profile to the other, and you're looking for some of the best certifications, education that you can have to go to the next level in your career. So let's understand what we are going to cover in this today's agenda. So we are going to look at an introduction and then understand what are the career opportunities that Snowflake has. We will look at a hands-on demo. Uh, um, this demo, I've kept it at a very basic level, but there are certain things that is included in the demo that might not be well understood at this stage. If you are very basic on the Snowflake, but do not worry about it. The purpose of that hands-on demo is basically to understand what is that Snowflake is offering you that other traditional database systems is not offering. So have a open mind when we are looking at the demo, and have it in your mind that some of the things that is there in the demo might not be directly understood, but it takes a little bit of time to understand the basics of Snowflake and get to there. Then we will look at the Snowflake Power features, certain features which differentiate Snowflake from other databases, and which is one of the main reasons Snowflake is becoming popular now. Then we will look at some of the real world success stories. I will just give a brief for you guys, just to understand the scale of Snowflake. And then if it is a real interest to you, it is all in the Snowflake case studies. You can always go back and read through it to understand it a little more. Finally, we will look into the learning paths and what is the next steps that you can take if you wanted to pursue a career in Snowflake. Any point of time, if I'm not clear, my voice is not clear, or what I'm explaining is not clear, please either raise your hand, stop me, or you can also ping me. If my chat pops up, I'll address that. We are a handful of people, so we can. This session need not be hectic. It can be easygoing. Okay, so moving on, let's look into the introduction and career opportunities in Snowflake. So starting with introduction, this is me. My name is Pon Shankar Palanivel. You guys can call me Shankar. I'm an AWS and Snowflake certified architect. I have 13 years of experience in data. I've been working as a data architect for the past, I believe, 4 to 5 years now. Worked on business intelligence before that. I'm Tableau certified. Um, have I've been in the consulting role for the past 5 years, and I've worked with a lot of companies on AWS and Snowflake, implementing solutions, understanding their business concerns, and addressing it. So I have pretty much good experience both on the technical side and on the architecting side. So if you guys wanted to get connected with me, here's my LinkedIn ID. Please connect. Um, I also take some initiatives to share the knowledge that I've been getting. Uh, I have a couple of ways of doing it. One is the Learners Chain LinkedIn page, where on a daily basis I will share information about Snowflake, AWS, and Gen AI, market trends, what is happening, and what are some of the features that is interesting. And at the right side, what you see is the Medium page that I'm having. For guys who are not aware of Medium, Medium is a platform to write articles. In my case, it is all technical articles. What you see in the screenshot is some of the articles that I've written. Um, if you guys wanted to follow me, get some of these articles when I'm publishing it, then please do so. Just make it. I'll just send you guys the link, and you guys can take a look at it and get connected with me if that pleases you. I'm just putting it in the chats. Oops, sorry, one second. Okay, now that is out of the way. Let's look at what is the Snowflake market explosion that we are talking about. So a couple of people who spoke to me now, they mentioned like the company is now using Snowflake, and there are day-to-day activities that is involved with Snowflake, and they would like to understand and practice Snowflake more, so that they are able to perform better in their job roles, right? So this has been the scenario, at least from what I've seen for the past 2 years. There are a lot of cloud providers. AWS is a big cloud provider, and I myself have a lot of experience in AWS. Then there is GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and then there is Azure, which is the Microsoft. So these are the notable first three cloud platforms. When these many cloud platforms are there, why is Snowflake gaining momentum for the past 2 years? So let's look at these numbers. I know some of these numbers doesn't make sense to us a lot, but let's look at these numbers and understand why we should look at these numbers. Snowflake's market explosion. There's $3.6 billion in revenue for financial year 2025 for Snowflake, and 131% net revenue retention rate. This means a lot of customers who are engaging with Snowflake are staying, they're not leaving Snowflake. Um, Cloud data solution market. So when I say cloud data solution, it includes all cloud solutions like AWS, GCP, etc. Is to be $290 billion by 2027 worldwide. And then Snowflake is just 1.4% in it. And it plans to reach 10 billion in revenue by 2025. Why are we looking at these numbers? The first thing is like, okay, Snowflake is gaining money, they are gaining revenue. Good for them. What is in it for us? What is in it for us is, I would say, is a perception. So when AWS was at the initial stage of developing or evolving, right? People who got educated in AWS at that point of time and were able to showcase their expertise in AWS, their growth was phenomenal in the first few years because there were few people to get hired. There were quite a bit of salary that was paid at that time, and then they had a they had better opportunities than what we have now in AWS. Same is the case for Snowflake. Snowflake has been here for a long time, and Snowflake has been, functional. A lot of companies you would have known would have been using Snowflake for the past several years. But very recently, there is a lot of adoption in Snowflake for the past 2 years, at least from my experience. So, why exactly this is happening? Let's understand this a little bit. Let me see if I can get a whiteboard. One moment. Mm, Yeah, I believe it's, oh, sorry. One second, please. Okay. So, um, what is making Snowflake special? So think about this. Snowflake is one single system, right? One single cloud system. Think about a company which is having AWS. AWS is a cloud provider. There are different data ingestion methodologies. So data is ingested into into AWS, and then they are using Redshift for their data warehousing. So what is happening today is companies do not want to be aligned with just one cloud provider. So let's say this is a major Fortune 500 company or even a startup that is trying to make cloud agnostic. They would want to have some level of presence in GCP and Azure. At least these are the major providers. So if something is not going their way with AWS, let's say it is becoming expensive, or for a more like a disaster recovery, they would want to have GCP and Azure. What they need to do is they need to move everything here, right? And then people who work in AWS might not know about GCP. For example, I'm working in AWS for quite a few years. I don't know much about GCP or Azure. They need to get new resources. They need to get new resources for Azure. This is expensive as well as there's a lot of movement. But what happens with Snowflake is, with Snowflake, you can create the Snowflake account on AWS or GCP or Azure. Snowflake is more, if you ask me, it's more like an abstract layer. Their back-end computing and storage is in these three cloud providers. Okay, so this is what happens with Snowflake. So let's say a company wants to diversify their portfolio in different cloud platforms. In that case, they need only a resource who knows Snowflake, right? They can create one account in AWS, another account in GCP, and another account in Azure. And with the skill of Snowflake, they would be able to utilize all these cloud platforms. At the same time, they have a skill or they have a platform that they have just one platform they need to learn. Okay, so this is one of the major reasons a lot of people are now using Snowflake. I've seen a lot of companies where they have major establishment in AWS, but still they have Snowflake as their data warehouse. So going back to the presentation, opportunity for skilled professionals. The final point is the takeaway of this particular slide. The numbers that you see before that are basically the ones that is leading to what is there in the final point. Um, any questions here, or can I move on? Okay. Anytime if you have any questions, please put it in the chat window as well. So job market. All of us are here for one reason, which is to basically make the job profile a little more attractive and um, get the opportunities that we wanted to get. So over 6,000 active job postings are there on LinkedIn. So these are not numbers that I'm just randomly showing. These are numbers that is represented in different statistics websites where I pulled it from. So it might not be current with today, but at least it might have some relevance. But if you look at it, there is like out of 2,000 Fortune companies, Snowflake is present in 691. There is about 30% penetration rate among world's largest enterprises. And I haven't put any salary ranges here, but you can always look online to check what is the salary of a Snowflake developer, and you will know. What I've seen personally is in Canada, US regions, at least, I've seen quite a decent amount of salary for Snowflake developers, and the salaries are like really big numbers in Snowflake company. So you can take a look at later. I do not want to speculate on this. Just for you to see. Now this is out of the way. Let's understand like if someone who is just starting their career with the databases or Snowflake, what is their skill progression looks like uh, from from researching through as well as from my experience in the industry. Foundation skills is what I call between 0 to 2 years. During this time, one needs to understand what is Snowflake's unique architecture, some cloud fundamentals, because Snowflake is going to be working with the cloud very closely, like AWS or Azure, to get what you wanted out of it. SQL proficiency. So these points, if you look at it, some of these points are things that you would learn in the graduation, or you would have learned along through the experience that you would have had in the industry. The second thing is a little more complex. Intermediate skills are basically skills that you will gain over a period of 0 to 5 years. And this includes data modeling expertise, if you have any experience with data modeling. And then Snowflake features like streams and tasks. These are a little advanced features. And then proficiency with integration tools like dbt. And then the expert skills is 5 plus years experience, which is basically designing architecture, which is what I'm doing right now, implementing multi-cloud strategies, establish data governance, and then getting business requirements and designing the solutions for it. So this is might not be an exact match, but this is typically how a skill progression would look like. One moment. So now this is out of the way. Let's look into the hands-on demo. Let me share my other screen so that you guys will be able to look at my screen better. Give me 1 second. Sorry, my apologies. My Zoom got disconnected. Okay, let me share my screen. Let me know once you guys are able to see it. Is my screen visible now? Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so before even we go into this demo, let's understand the Snowflake UI first. Actually, before even going into the Snowflake UI, let's understand how you can get access to and play with the trial version of Snowflake a little bit. So Snowflake has a trial version. Let me show you. So let's say you wanted to learn Snowflake a little bit more, or let's say you wanted to get a certification in Snowflake. Your hands-on experience in Snowflake is very critical if you wanted to do that. How do you get the hands-on experiences through this? You can create a trial version in Snowflake, which will give you $400 worth of free usage. I think like $400, it translates roughly to 200 credits, which is how Snowflake bills you. You would be able to just use this 30 days to learn what is being taught in a Snowflake lecture, or even understand if you want to replicate what I'm showing in the demo, then you can do this and run through it along with it. After this workshop, I will find how I can share these details with you, the scripts included. Then you can create a trial version and play around with a little bit. So now the trial version, how to do it is out of the way. Let's understand how the Snowflake UI itself looks. This is how it will be when you open your Snowflake UI. To be more specific, this is how it will be. So there are some quick actions that you can take. There are some projects that you will be seeing. Right now, most of it is empty except for the demo because I haven't created anything else. I created this account yesterday. There's a search option for searching all the any resource that you wanted to look at it. There is projects where you can create a worksheet, you can create a notebook. There's something called Streamlit, which is like a programming methodology for visualizing data inside Snowflake. There are dashboards, some of these things you will understand what if you're looking at Snowflake in detail, but this might be too much for some of the things that we wanted to see in this demo. Under data, you can look at the databases, you can add data, set integrations, plan migrations, and open flow. There are data products. You can collaborate with the external marketplace. There's a lot of marketplace items that is present in Snowflake. Now you can understand or make use of any of the marketplace vendors. And then there are apps, private sharing, provider studio, partner connect, etc. So these are all ways in which you would be able to collaborate with external providers, consumers, sort of. AI/ML is there in Snowflake as well, and Snowflake has a pretty good AI/ML feature. There's Cortex Analyst, Cortex Search, a lot of AI feature, Document AI, which is like if you put in a PDF, it will be able to extract relevant information for you and then convert it into a structured table. Monitoring is something that you will be using. The number of queries that you ran, copies, tasks, all these information will be here. Under admin, you would be able to see the cost management. But this is the cost is very less because I just opened it yesterday. You can look at the warehouses. We will understand what a warehouse is. Right now, I'm going to stop this warehouse assessment. And then you can look at users and roles. This is my role I've created. Accounts, securities, contacts, billing. So these are all general things. I wanted to bring your notice to two different things. One is the point you see here. So this is the credits left for your trial version. You would be able to see a similar thing than when you have created it. You keep an eye for it. I will also tell you a methodology on how Snowflake itself can trace it so that you're not build anything above what you wanted. What you see here is basically my name and the role. Since I created it, I am the account admin for this role. You can click over here. If you click on this, view account details, then you would be able to get the URL that is needed for, let's say, if you wanted to connect with a um, different tool, like let's say you want to connect the Snowflake with Tableau, Power BI, then these are the information that you would be needing. Okay, so these are some of the basic things that I wanted to show to you about Snowflake UI. Now let's open the worksheet and we will run through it. Like I said before, you might not be able to understand everything that is written in this worksheet right away based on the exposure that you have in Snowflake. The major reason being these are some of the foundational knowledge that is required to understand this. So try to understand what I'm saying. If you're not getting everything that is in the first few parts, you don't need to worry. One of the major things or the objectives of this demo is to show you how Snowflake is able to process large amount of data in um, very less time, and how that is driving your organization's adoption of Snowflake. That is what I wanted to show. So these are prerequisites for me to do that. That's why I'm creating this. But when I'm doing it, you can probably try to get a overview of it. So this is a warehouse that I already created. So I'm going to just rename so that we can create a new warehouse. So in Snowflake, the way you can execute a query is either you can select, or if there is a semicolon, you can place anywhere. And then you either need to select here for running it, or you can press Control Enter. Okay. What we are doing here is we are creating a warehouse. A warehouse is a compute, compute or the power to run queries. Um, why we need a warehouse is something that we will discuss a little later in the course. Sorry, in the demo. But a warehouse, for now, think warehouse is the compute power that is required for executing activities. In Snowflake, one of the major things that we should know is storage and compute are treated separately, which is a little different than the relational databases that we have been working in the past. Let's say you have a MySQL, Microsoft SQL, Oracle servers. If you think about that traditional database methodology, compute and storage scales are tightly coupled with one another. So let's say when you have run out of the database storage, or let's say when the database is slow, if you wanted to upgrade it, then you should upgrade both the storage as well as the compute, which is not the case in Snowflake. We will get into the details, but for now, understand compute and storage are treated differently in Snowflake. So right now, when I say warehouse, it's a compute. So I'm creating a compute called demo WH1. Let me click here, Control Enter. Okay, so the warehouse has been created. These are the query details which will be helpful to you. Now that I've created the warehouse, I'm going to use the show command to see if the warehouse is present. So, okay, so warehouse is present. It started now. It's a standard type of warehouse, and I've created a small warehouse. Now let's look at this. The warehouse size I've chosen is small. In Snowflake, the warehouse size is like extra small, small, medium, large, Excel. So the size of the compute is basically defining two things. One is the power required to run the query. The second thing is the cost. The higher the warehouse size, of course, the more costly it will be. At the same time, it will be more faster. Okay. Auto suspend 60. This means like I'm sitting in a mechanism which says if I'm not using a warehouse for more than 60 seconds, then just make it inactive. The reason I do this is the longer the warehouse is active, the more Snowflake bills us. So by doing this, I'm saying after 1 minute, make it inactive so I'm not billed anymore. Auto resume is true. So this means, let's say after 1 minute, my warehouse is suspended. And then I wanted to use this warehouse. Should I go and resume it manually? No. I just need to use the warehouse and it will auto resume so that it saves us some energy. So that is what this particular command does. So, uh, so hope that is a little clear. I'm looking at the warehouse now, which is what it is. And then I'm going to create some personas. I'm just creating it for the sake of it to show you how you can create a role in Snowflake. But you can either do this or you can skip it. I'll just quickly proceed through it. I'm creating a data analyst role. I'm creating a data engineer role. Okay, and I'm creating few users. These are some of the users I've already created. But just for the sake of it, I'll just create it. Again, I'm going to provide you this code. So if you at any point of time wanted to run through it, take it slowly and then understand each of the command, feel free to do so. But for now, I just wanted to show you the power of Snowflake. So it is It grasp what is the difference between your traditional database and this. Since I've created some roles, I need to assign those roles to the warehouse or the compute that we are having, which is what I'm doing here. Okay, and we created users, so I'm assigning roles to the users. Now let's create a demo database. Okay, so this demo database is what we are going to use for this particular demo. And let's create a schema in the demo database. Okay, so one thing, so we are creating a schema, then you might have a question on where we're going to create it. So if you wanted to clarify it, you can always say use, oh, sorry, database, and then provide the database name that we have created here. Okay. Uh, okay, so when I do this, you would be able to see this is the database that we are working. Now I go and I create the schema. Okay, and once the schema is created, here you would be able to see the schema that has been selected, which is where we are going to do the remaining code. Okay, so I can create another schema like dev environment. Now I'm assigning the roles to the database and the schema that I've created. These are privileges to the role. So if you look at it, I'm giving usage on database and schema, and I'm granting all privileges for the schema dev environment. Okay, so these are commands on how you can set which warehouse you are using, database we are using, schema you are using. Okay, most of it is already selected, so I'm ignoring it. The only thing is I needed to use the schema analytics instead of dev environment. So I'm just going to change it. Okay, so these are all admin stuff, what we have seen so far. If you just step back a moment and if you think about what I fastly ran through, um, we created a database, we created a schema, we created a warehouse or compute, and then we created few users, roles, etc. The most important thing that we need to look at here is the first point that I brought up. In a traditional database, let's say if you wanted to have more compute power, then you need to upgrade the database itself, which means you will need to look at the licensing, you will need to look at the cost, you will need to find a way to make the changes so it does not impact any of your workloads. But right now, if you see, I created a warehouse in like not even a minute. All right. And that warehouse can be assigned to any database for compute. So this is the unique ability of Snowflake. So you can have the data stored, but you can have warehouses or compute created as per your requirement. If you have like a requirement which is not very heavy, then you can have XS or S. But let's say if you're running a machine learning pipeline, you have complex data, then you can go with L or XL. Okay, so this is how storage and compute are divided. So what I'm going to do here is a major thing, even if you are going to practice what we are doing in your own Snowflake trial version. So I'm going to create a resource monitor. What this basically does is it will look for the credit quota that you are consuming. So let's say I've given a credit quota of 20, and it will check how much is the credits that I'm burning. Right now, I think like I've earned only 2 credits. Let's say it gets to a point where I've consumed 20 credits. Then uh, at 75 percentage of 20, it will notify me saying like, okay, your 75 percentage of your 20 credit quota, you need to be aware, right? And then at 90%, I say suspend it. Okay. So at 90%, it will check and it will just suspend the arrows. At 100%, I say suspend immediately. There is a slight difference between suspend and suspend immediately, but let's not go into the details of it. Suspend at a very overall understanding. Suspend is like, let's say when you're running a query, suspend will wait for that query to complete before it suspends it. Suspend immediately is basically it will truncate the query execution as well, and then it will suspend it. So that's the difference between these two, and this is a complete concept. I mean, if this is something that is of interest, then we can look at into Snowflake in detail. So after this, oh, did I create it? I think I've already created it. So if I create it, it will fail. So let this be here. The second step is like this resource monitor, I'm going to assign to the new, um, the new warehouse that we created. So that I will change because we created a new warehouse here. So I'm going to assign this to this warehouse. Okay, if I look for resource monitors, so you'll be able to see 20 is the credit quota. Used credits right now it is showing 0 because this is a warehouse that we created now and we haven't used it. And it will show other few information that you might be finding helpful. So this is what I wanted to show in the demo, and what we were doing previously is all prerequisites to this. So have you ever queried a table uh, which is having millions of rows in your traditional data warehouse or in a different system? Usually it is time consuming. And not only time consuming, usually it is very complex. Right now, what we are going to do is we are going to look at a billion row data set, which is close to like 600 million rows. Let's see how we are accessing it, how we are querying it. At the end of this exercise, I will walk you through the inferences of what we are seeing here. Okay. Now, I did not load this data myself. I'm going to use a Snowflake sample data. So just so you know, when you create a trial version, so these mild retail analytics, these are things that I have created. There will be 3 databases that comes inbuilt with your trial version, which is Snowflake, Snowflake Learning DB, Snowflake Sample Data. Uh, one is um, one is more like a monitoring schema or monitoring database, I should say. And there are other databases where you would be able to see sample data. So you can query it and understand how Snowflake works. This is one of such sample data that we are going to look at. Let's use, this is the database that you will need. And this is the schema where we are going to look for the state. Now, this is a query which is basically going to look at the schema, look at all the tables, and going to provide us the row count of each of it. So if I run it, you would be able to see this line item tables row count. So this is around 600 million. Okay. So this is and if you look at the bytes as well, it is quite high. So this is the table that we are going to query now. So let's say I'm going to use a complex analytics. What I'm doing is I'm summing, basically I'm doing some aggregations. I'm doing filtering operation. I'm doing group by, and I'm doing order by. So typically if you guys have already been experienced in SQL and doing SQL queries in your organization, then you would have known that whenever you're doing a sum, aggregating it, or when you're applying filters, when you're using group by, the queries perform, I wouldn't say queries performance, but the time that it takes for that query to show you the results will take some time because it needs to do all the computation before it shows you the results, right? So here, let's execute this. Do you see the time that it takes? 148 milliseconds is what it has taken to scan all, all the data. But let me show you one other thing. So I'm opening my monitor. I'm looking at the query history. Okay. And these are all the queries for, let's say, last 3 days. Now, if I scroll down, I'm just looking for that query that I executed. 1 second. Okay, right here. Okay. So if you look at this is the same query that I executed, right? So let me open it somewhere else. I'm copying it. Okay, if you compare these two queries, it is the same query that I've run. Okay. So if you look at here, oh, I see some chats. I'm sorry, 1 second. Can you please let us know difference between warehouse and schema? Madhavi, would it be okay if I explain this at the end of the demo?
Yeah, not
Uh,
an issue. Yeah.
okay, sure. Okay, so this is the query that we executed, and I executed it yesterday. So if you look at it, how much time it has taken? 6.7 seconds, right? The same query I'm running it today, the same results, and I'm getting it in 148 milliseconds. It's not even a second. What you see here is one of Snowflake's unique abilities. When you run a query, Snowflake caches that query in its memory for 24 hours. Okay. For 24 hours, if there is no changes are there, and then 31 days if it is active. Okay. That is the details of it. But understanding it from an overview level, you see that a query that I have run yesterday took 6.7 seconds, which is also not bad. 6.7 seconds for 600 million records. And the same query, when I run it today, it is 140 milliseconds. So this is the unique ability that Snowflake has, and it is a major reason for the adoption that is happening today. If you ask me, can the same thing be done with other databases? It can be, but there is a certain difference in how Snowflake treats it with its cloud agnostic solution. And there are performance optimization that Snowflake provides, which is by default given by Snowflake, and in some advanced databases that you're having, it is configurations that you will need to put it in. Okay. So while we are here, I wanted to show one more feature. Snowflake has something called time travel. What is time travel? So let's say in your, these are typical rollbacks, I would say, but it is done in a little easier way. Let's say you have a table that you are maintaining and you have corrupted it. You wanted to revert the table to the previous position or the previous version. The way we do it in a traditional databases is something that you might have known for guys who have done SQL programming from a DBA level, or at least like from a user perspective, we understand how complex it could be. So in Snowflake, we are going to replicate a similar scenario, and then we are going to see how we are recovering it. So we are going to use one of the sample tables because those are the ones that is having data now. And let me use, we created a new one. Let's use that. We'll use analytics schema. What I'm basically doing is I'm taking a sample data table. I'm just taking 1,000 records and I'm creating another table as customer demo so that like we can push in some corrupted data into it and then try to see how we can recover it. Sorry, Sheetal schema's logical relationship between tables and data warehouse. And data warehouse is centralized repository with store data, transform. Sheetal, is this an explanation for Madhavi? Or is this a question, Sheetal? Sheetal? Okay, looks like okay. Sheetal, this is a typical understanding, but in Snowflake's concepts, warehouse is different. The warehouse that Madhavi is asking is not the data warehouse that you're referring. So let's understand that. Let's go through with this demo. I have specific topics that helps us understand this. Okay. 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 So coming back to here, I'm just creating this table so we can play around it. Okay, I've created it. And now we are going to verify if the table exists. Okay, so this is the table that we are having. So let's do one thing, 44. Okay, so let's pick the first 100 records. 440, 440, and then another 0. So basically where customer key is less than 440, 100, we are going to update the column name as corrupted data instead of the customer name. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so these are all changed as corrupted data. Now, let's see one thing. If you go into the query ID here, you will see the time at which this query started and the time at which this query ended. Okay, 11:27, I believe it is showing my time now. So let's have this here. Now, let's select. Now you are able to see the corrupted data, right? So now, what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to run this query. So this query, it says select count star as original count from customer demo at offset is equal to -30. So let's run this. Before that, let me do something. Instead of count star, let's do star. And let's not do original count. Let's just do select star from. And then 300 seconds, 5 minutes. What's the time now? 11:29. And then I want the data as it is. What is the time this query executed? 30, so maybe a minute. or maybe 60 seconds. Let's try this. It still says corrupted data. Okay, maybe 90 seconds. 240 seconds. Okay, at this time the data is not there. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just playing around. I'll explain you what I'm doing now. Okay. So you see here, right? So what is happening here is we corrupted the data, right? Before I lose the time, I will just create it. Okay. So we corrupted the data. Uh, 1 second. Okay. So we made all the column names, or sorry, this is customer name, where the customer key before 100 were corrupted, right? Now we are able to see the actual value. What we have done is there is a feature called time travel, which allows you in Snowflake to go back for a particular time. So the reason I was playing around it is this time needs to be the time after the table was created and then before we corrupted it, right? That's why I was playing around it. But in a typical scenario, you would have created a table long before, and then you would have the history to go back to the table at any time. And this is not the only way to go back in time. We can always go back in seconds. We can go back using a particular query ID, and there are different ways we can go back. Okay, but what I wanted to show is the rollback that you would typically do in a data warehouse, where you do backup and then you get the data out of it, is made much simpler here just by referring back to what data you were having before, right? So that is what I wanted to show as part of this. These are things that I just created for the sake of it, but this is a way you can check out what's the current credit consumption that you're having. Let me show you. So so this is the credits that has been consumed so far for demolished WH1, but what we are using here is _1. Okay, maybe I haven't used it then. So I will send this across to you guys whenever you feel. So you can always create a trial account and then you can go through with it. Okay. So now let's go back to the presentation itself, and I will answer the questions that Sheetal and Madhavi were having. So let me shift to the other screen. One moment. Okay. So before we go to the power features, let's address what Madhavi was asking. Madhavi, I'm just reading your question again. Can you please let us know the difference between Barrows and schema? So one of the things that from the chat, what I'm understanding is when I say warehouse, uh, this is not data warehousing. Okay, data warehousing is separate. Let's keep that separate. See, warehouse is a common term where typical to a warehouse, anything that is like accumulated together in sums, we call it as warehousing, right? The term data warehousing that Sheetal that you were referring uh, is a broader term. So let's say Redshift is a data warehouse. Snowflake is a data warehouse. There are a lot of other databases that we can use as data warehouse also. What differentiates this is uh, when an application puts data into a database, this database is always called transactional database. The reason being, application handles transactional data and it uses this database for transactional DB work. Data warehouse is when, let's say, from transactional DB, you are having multiple data pipelines. Okay. And then you have another application where you have a transactional DB and there are multiple pipelines. All these comes into a database like Redshift, and that is typically called data warehouse. Okay, so this is the concept of data warehouse. What we are talking in Snowflake is warehouse means compute or power. Okay, this is what we have in Snowflake's context. I will explain this a little more while we go through the slides. But I just wanted to understand, is this clear now, or am I missing something? Madhavi, Sheetal, can you respond?
Yeah, it's clear now. Thank you.
Okay. Sheetal, you're okay, right? Okay. If there is any clarification required, do let me know. Now going back to the presentation, let's understand what are the Snowflake's power features that we need to understand Snowflake as a whole. So Snowflake has a multi-layer architecture. When I say multi-layer architecture, it has storage, compute, and cloud services separate. So this is going to basically answer the questions that we were having about warehouse, etc. So what I'm talking about, give me one moment, please, guys. So in Snowflake, we have storage, we have compute or warehouse. Warehouse is just a name that Snowflake uses within its UI, but it is actually compute. Okay. And then cloud services. These are the three layers that Snowflake has. Let me explain this layer in terms of how Snowflake works. Let's say you have a Snowflake account created in AWS. Okay, Snowflake needs to be created in one cloud provider. Let's say in our case, we are using Snowflake in AWS. So when you import data, let's say when you are uploading data into Snowflake, Snowflake gets this data into AWS and stores in S3. So for people who are familiar with AWS, S3 is the AWS object storage. Okay. So when a new data comes in, Snowflake stores the data in S3 as micro partitions. What are these micro partitions? Are things that you will understand when you are going in depth into Snowflake. So for now, understand that the data coming into S3 are stored into multiple micro partitions, not just one. So these micro partitions are usually compressed and encrypted for safety. And it is stored into S3. So when you upload something into Snowflake, this is how the storage works. The storage is into S3. You have multiple micro partitions created for each of the table. And whenever you are querying Snowflake, your Snowflake is going to extract the data from these micro partitions. Okay. So this is where the storage comes in. Storage, let's say in our particular case is S3. Compute. Compute is typically the power that is required for getting this data. Okay. So compute, think about compute as CPUs. I have one CPU, I have two CPU. I have one in S size and I have one in L size. So these compute will look into the storage and will extract the details that is required as part of your particular query. Okay, you can increase any number of compute as required, and you can decrease any number of compute as required based on your use case. Okay, cloud services is basically AWS in our case. So what this cloud services will do is, these cloud services will be able to aid in managing the compute and the storage. Okay, so this is how Snowflake's architecture works. Understanding this is understanding database realism against cloud functionality. That a combination of this is what will help you in understanding Snowflake's architecture. This is a very important concept when you are learning Snowflake. So I wanted to understand if this is, was I able to clearly explain this to you, or any of you have any particular doubts in this?
So it seems to be it's clear. But I have one question, but I'm not sure it is relevant or not. Okay.
Sure.
When we select the warehouse, maybe we will expect into some good number
Uh,
of large amount of data. So
okay.
if I select the small or extra small, and
Mm-hmm.
if I am expecting 1 million of data extract,
Mm-hmm.
uh, by comparison between the difference of different variables, say small or large, how it will be different. If I select a small, it will give me the results of the lesser results, or it is difference of about the timing of the query run.
It will be timing as well as the
It will be
performance.
yeah,
Yeah.
it will be only for the timing, but there won't be any changes in the results, right?
Yeah. No changes in the result. So think
Yeah.
about yes as 2 CPU. Okay. And think about L as 14 CPU. Okay. So let's say you're running a select query. What the 2 CPU will do, it will take probably what? 3 seconds. Okay, but your 14 CPU will probably get in milliseconds. Okay, so this is the difference. And the way this associates to your cost is the compute is built for you based on the number of time it is running, right? So this runs for 3 seconds. So let's say yes consumes 1 credit per minute, then this gets built accordingly. And then L is higher, so let's say 3 credits per minute, and then this gets built accordingly. So it's a trade-off between the speed and your time.
Okay.
Okay, is this clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I'm good now.
Okay, okay. Anyone else wanted to dig a little deeper in this, or you're good? Okay, Sounds good. So let's move on. Okay, the first point is what we looked at, right? The second point, zero copy cloning, is also a very important feature for many companies to look at Snowflake, which means, let's say you have a production environment in Snowflake. You have development environment. You wanted to create a development environment and you wanted to create a QA environment. But at the same time, you wanted the production data to be available in QA and dev for testing purposes. So usually when we do this in other traditional database systems, we need to move it, store it in different places. But in Snowflake, given the way the storage is working in cloud, we do not need to replicate or copy data uh, for making it available in your other systems. For example, I can create a table, actual table, and I can create a clone of the table. When I create a clone of the table, the data is not copied into that particular clone. It is just reference to the data that is there in the cloud. Okay, so this is I'm giving this concept at a very high level, but these are concepts that you will be deep diving if you're reading to a certification or if you're looking for more information. Okay, but know that there is zero copy cloning in Snowflake. That doesn't require the data to be copied for you to create a clone. The third is time travel and failsafe. Time travel and failsafe. Time travel is what we saw earlier. When you corrupt or when a table gets messed, you can always go back in time to get the table in its previous version. And then failsafe is something that time travel cannot do. These time travels have limitations. So let's say 90 days is the maximum time travel that you can do based on the edition that you're having in Snowflake. Let's say someone passed the time. In that case, every account in Snowflake has a 7 days failsafe, which is you can call Snowflake support and you would be able to recover the data that has passed the time travel limitation. Okay, so this is also a disaster recovery feature and it is pretty important when we are talking about Snowflake. Third thing is data sharing. Usually when you share the data with, let's say, you are a company and you wanted to share your data to other companies. It's a bit of a mess when it comes to relational databases, but in Snowflake, it's a lot easier. In Snowflake, you do not need to replicate copy data. You can create a way where external companies, external consumers can look at your data without replicating or without storing. At the same time, it follows all the security concerns. Okay, that is the advanced data sharing. Multi-cluster auto-scaling is also one of the major importance of Snowflake, which is you would be able to scale the warehouses or compute as required. Let's say you're running a query on a very big table, okay? And this is Venkata, your question. So let's say, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is Venkata, I believe. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But
But
okay, but this is your question. So you were talking about, let's say, SM. So I explained to you a scenario which is best case scenario, but let's think about the worst case scenario. I have I have a query, SQL query, but the query data, it is not able to fit within the capability of S, right? So in that case, the query will fail, right? For that, there are methodologies. Let's say there is something called auto scaling, where we can say minimum one small cluster, maximum 5 small clusters. What this basically does is, let's say there is one cluster, a query runs, it is too heavy, it's not able to satisfy, or like let's say 10 query runs, it's not able to fit into S memory. In that, automatically another compute will be created, and out of this 10, it will take 5, and then it executes. Okay, this is called auto scaling, and this is one of the features that makes Snowflake unique. Okay, so this
Okay,
is
got it.
okay. So this is related to the multi-cluster auto scaling that we are seeing. Moving on, I'm just giving you a brief because there is a competitive landscape that is there with all the other similar databases, right? Some of you guys would have used Redshift. Some would have used BigQuery, and some would have used the traditional database systems. So I'm not going deeper into these topics, but there are evidential differences between differences and advantages between what you would be able to see or do in Amazon Redshift, BigQuery, and traditional system versus Snowflake. First is in Redshift, there are two types of ways that we can upgrade your cluster, right? So one is you need to change the node itself. You need to upgrade the node, or you have serverless capabilities in Redshift, which will scale based on the load of it. But it does not necessarily separate the storage and cluster like what you have in Snowflake, and uh, doesn't really, give the same results in terms of optimizations like what you have in Snowflake readily. So this is one of the things that you could consider, but if you wanted to take a deep look into the comparisons between these, you can probably do some research, but I'm just pointing it out here. Okay, so real world success stories, I'm going to be very brief. These are basically use cases and studies that is there in Snowflake case studies about big companies that have used Snowflake uh, to address some of the challenges that they have been having. AT&T is a major company, and it has implemented Snowflake to migrate its reporting application. Capital One is another big company. DoorDash is another one. Adobe. These are some examples I've provided where high scale, huge huge amount of data and compute has been migrated into Snowflake. Okay. These are again, if you're interested in use cases and case studies, you can take a look at the Snowflake website, and they would have explained pretty detailed how this was implemented. Okay. Um, let's look at the learning path and next step. So what we have seen so far is understanding how Snowflake is different from other databases. What is the power of Snowflake in extracting data optimizations and other security features? Why some of the companies are moving into Snowflake, and there is a lot of traction with Snowflake very recently. So these are the things that we have seen so far. Let's understand, like, if let's say if you wanted to pursue a career in Snowflake, what is the learning path and next steps? Um, if you are a profession and if you're serious about Snowflake, then what I would recommend is um, going through a proper certification. Okay, and the first level certification is the Snowflake core certification that you see there. The second level is advanced, and then there are specialty certification for specific features. So Snow Pro core certification is something that I would recommend for anyone who's just starting their journey in Snowflake. And I'm just not going to promise that there will be some training course you can just go through the training course, go to the exam, and then get the certification. It wouldn't be that easy. The typical approach for gaining, let's say, the Snow Pro core certification is uh, go through the training session, and we are offering a training session for Snow Pro core certification. You can get in touch with Excelytics if you're interested. I will be the trainer for it. But going through the training program is the first step. So there are a few things that you need to do if you need to clear the certification. I cleared the certification and I scored 93% in it. So I pretty much know what is required to clear it. You will have to go through the training session one, and then you will need to get a trial version of Snowflake, just like what I did. Practice what we are learning in the trial account so that you get familiarized with it. And for specific topics, you will need to go through the documentations in Snowflake. So if you're able to spend time um, and do these gradually, once you're in a position where you're comfortable, then you can appear for the certification and then you will have a chance of clearing it. Okay. But the reason I recommend Snow Pro Core certification first is Snow Pro Core certification is respected a lot in industry now. So if you have a Snow Pro Core certification, the chances of getting an interview call and the chances of getting your first interview for Snowflake is a lot better. Um, and then the knowledge required for appearing for the interview. Of course, experience is the major thing, but then at least for the experience, you will have some basics on how to appear for the examination, how to appear for the interview. So that is what my recommendation is. If you wanted to look at advanced certification, you will need to do the Snow Pro Core certification first. So this is when it comes to learning path, certification is the best methodology that I would suggest. But if you're not interested in certification, then you can probably look for just getting trained in it.
Mr. Shankar, can you be able to tell us, okay, for the Snowflow certification, the user has to know the advanced level of SQL coding, or it's a basic level of SQL is fine, or
Snow Pro Core certification, you do not need a lot of SQL knowledge. So see, one of the thing that we need to understand is right now, SQL, Python code, anything's just a step away after tools like ChatGPT and cloud, right? Um, so most of these exams concentrate on what they wanted to understand in Snowflake, not SQL queries. So while a basic SQL knowledge is good, you do not need advanced knowledge for these certifications.
okay, and how it will be the costing for the certification? Do you have any idea?
Certification, I think like when I appeared before, when I appeared, it was 175 USD.
Okay,
Yeah. So yeah, 175 USD was the cost.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So actually that's pretty much what I had. Any questions you guys are having? Or any questions about certifications, anything else that you wanted to ask? We are all good.
What is the eligibility for the certification? Means basically, I'm coming to my side. I am having a no. I'm a non-tech guy. Uh, uh, Not into most of not. I probably it's difficult for me to write a syntax and all. So, but still I'm working with the tech team as a BA, as a QA for most of the stuff. So, will I be able to do it, or it will be difficult for me to pursue it?
So for the first Snow Pro course certification, there is no specific eligibility. Okay, so the time you're ready for the examination or the certification would depend on the practice that you are taking on. So uh, I think like you are working as a testing engineer, so I'm pretty sure you would have basic knowledge about SQL, right? So that is pretty much what you need.
Okay.
When it comes to Snowflake, understanding how Snowflake works and then how Snowflake is different from other databases is your key. So I would
Mm,
say, um, um, let's say if for someone who's experienced in other databases, if it takes 1 month, then for you, if you're not very technically involved, it would take few more, like 2 or 3 months more, based on your work effect to learn it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But in specific, there is no eligibility. Yeah, it is recommended to have 6 months experience, I believe, as per their exam guide, but
Mhm.
nothing is concrete. It is just a recommendation.
Okay. Because in our company, there is a huge shift. We are kind of remediating from the traditional RDM thing to Snowflake. The integration is almost done. It's as part of the Alpha Next Gen project. And say State Street, uh, BlackRock, and Invesco, probably these three companies are involved here. And so it is kind of important for me to get through this and then work accordingly.
I understand. I know we have been implementing Snowflake for a while now in different areas, both migration as well as fresh developments. And I know a lot of companies are now what they're doing is even though their data ingestion platform is in AWS, they still use Snowflake as the data warehouse. So the cloud agnostic ability of Snowflake is what, from my perspective, is driving this adoption. And I see a recent interest getting high for Snowflake certifications as well. So yeah, you're right. I know what you're talking about, Paul.
Thank you.
Anyone
And
else? Um,
thanks for being so brief and patiently explaining us. It's really helpful.
for sure, for sure. So I know this webinar was to bring some idea about Snowflake. Go through with it if you guys are interested. Then through Excelytics, the trainer for the course. If you wanted to prepare yourself for Snowflake Crow certification, then the course structure that we are having will be able to get you a lot of knowledge to help go for the certification. You can reach out to Excelytics for any questions or how they wanted to when they're starting the course, but I will be the trainer for it. Uh, Thank you so much for your time today. Anyone has any other question before we wind off? No, all good then. Thank you so much for your time. Please feel free to connect to me as well and reach out to me if you need any questions, any kind of brainstorming that is required. I'll be more than happy to provide that.
Yeah.
Okay, take care.
Yeah.
Have a nice
Thanks,
day.
Shankar. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Take care. Bye bye.